So dear students, in this lecture we are going to study the scenario or the political uh, circumstances that fell on India after the end of Mauryan dynasty. So as we already know that Mauryan dynasty is considered to be the glorious age of Indian history, art and culture. So Mauryan dynasty ruled for almost, you can say, like 250 years. They almost ruled for 200 years if you do not count the later rulers. So after a rule of 2 centuries, it ended abruptly. So it was not that Mauryans they declined gradually. So when Mauryan dynasty ended, they were actually the masters of the entire North India. They were not weak. It's not that they were weak and hence they ended. So their end was because of a great conspiracy. So now that power, political power or political lineage, political you can say territory passed on to new dynasties. So now or in this video lecture we are going to study that transition, that what happened when Mauryans came to an end. So which were the dynasties which replaced the Mauryan dynasties. So two such dynasties are known to have succeeded Mauryan dynasties one after the other. The first is Shung dynasty and after that came Kanv dynasty. See, what is special about Mauryan, Shung and Kanv is that all these dynasties were ruling from Magad. Magad was the seat of power of India. Today the seat of power of India is Delhi, but during those time Magad was a Mahajanpad. A Mahajanpad is roughly like a state, you can say a state, a modern day state. So all these dynasty that we are talking about, be it Mauryans, be it Shung or Kanv, they are associated, they are interlinked to each other in the fact that they are ruling from the same place of Magad. So basically one was replacing the other. So that's why they have to be studied in totality. So now let us see what happened when Mauryan dynasty ended. So how did these dynasty replace the Mauryans? So let us understand that. So Mauryan Empire reached its zenith under the kingship of Ashok Maurya. So if you see this graph properly, so this entire region up till here, see there is a divide. As a student of history and geography, you must be aware of a few things about your own country. See this here, this location, this is the location of a mountain range known as Vindhyas. Vindhya. So roughly located across Chhattisgarh, Odisha and parts of Madhya Pradesh. So this mountain range basically forms the boundary or divides the country into two parts. So it is the boundary of South India. So below it, South India. So the Mauryans were ruling from Gandhar, from here, till this boundary. So such was the extent of their empire. So Mauryan Empire reached its zenith under the kingship of Ashok Maurya. But within 50 years of Ashok's death, so Ashok Maurya was a great king. So, but after 50 years of his death, Mauryan Empire came to a sudden end. That means Mauryan Empire could not last very long after its greatest king Ashok died. Why? Because Mauryan kings were patrons of Buddhism. So these Mauryan kings who were ruling from Magad, so they were followers of Buddhism. They funded Buddhism. They gave money and wealth to Buddhist monasteries so that they can spread. Now this approach was not liked by the Brahminical class. So Brahminical class, they were wealthy, they were powerful, but they were not the rulers. They were not in power, though they were powerful, but they were powerful in small pockets. Whereas the central authority was held by rulers of Magad, and rulers of Magad, they did not encourage Brahminical practices, they did not encourage Vedic practices. So that's why there was a tension was brewing. So Pushyamitra Shung was a Brahmin army chief of Brihadrath. Now Brihadrath was the last king of Maurya. See, nobody knows that he is going to be the last king, but today we know that he is the last king. Why? Because he was cheated. He got dethroned by his own military general. So this guy Pushyamitra Shung, he was basically a Brahmin. So being a Brahmin, he did not like Mauryans very much. We already discussed the reason. So Pushyamitra Shung was a Brahmin army chief of Brihadrath. So after Ashoka died, so his successors took the throne. So Brihadrath can be said to be the successor of Ashok. He is not the son of Ashok because he came on throne after 30-45 years. So Brihadrath was the ruler of Mauryan dynasty when this event took place. What event? During a military parade, he killed Brihadrath. Who killed Brihadrath? Pushyamitra Shung killed Brihadrath. Who was Pushyamitra Shung? So Pushyamitra Shung was the army chief of Brihadrath. So during a military parade, he killed Brihadrath and established himself on the throne in either 185 or 186 BC. But the generally agreed upon date is 185 BC. So you can see Mauryan Empire began at somewhere around 324 BC and it came to an end in 185 BC. So you can see they ruled for almost like some 140-145 years. So now this Pushyamitra Shung created a revolt, coup, killing his own king. And if you kill the king, the dynasty ends. So this way you can see that the Mauryan dynasty was put to an end by this person. His name is Pushyamitra Shung. So questions are asked indirectly that who is held to be responsible to bring an end to Mauryan dynasty. So Pushyamitra Shung, nobody will ask very openly that who killed Brihadrath. Simply it is one and the same thing. Now according to some historians, so this was an internal revolt against the last Mauryan king. So this Pushyamitra Shung, so this will be termed as internal revolt because he was not an enemy. He was a trusted army general. So if you trust somebody, he kills you, it is known as revolt. So this was a case of internal revolt against the last Mauryan king. So some say it was a Brahminical reaction to the Mauryan overwhelming patronage of Buddhism. So whatever may be the reason, the fact is Brihadrath was killed by Pushyamitra Shung. Brihadrath was the last Mauryan king. Pushyamitra Shung started the next dynasty because the purpose of killing the king is to become the king himself. So Pushyamitra Shung becomes the next king and he chooses Patliputra as his capital. So Pushyamitra Shung. So you can see in this map. So from this map, this is the extent of Shung Empire. Shung. So if you look carefully, it comprises of Bihar, half of Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh. So he chose Patliputra as its capital. So now let us understand who this guy Pushyamitra was. Pushyamitra Shung. So Brihadrath Maurya was the last Maurya ruler, as we already saw. He was a very weak ruler. So Pushyamitra Shung was the military general of Mauryan forces. So he was Senapati or military general. So those days military generals were known as Senapati. So Senapati of Mauryan forces and was also the governor of Vidisha and Ujjain. So Madhya Pradesh. Because the Mauryans were ruling virtually over the entire North India. So this Vidisha and Ujjain, so king cannot rule each and every city. So he had his deputies. So this Pushyamitra Shung guy, he was the governor of Vidisha and Ujjain. So he was powerful person. So one day he invited the king to witness military parade and killed the king treacherously. Thus Mauryan kingdom came to an end and Sung dynasty took over the control. So this happened in 185 BC. So you have to not remember the date. Remembering date is not important, at least when it comes to ancient India. Just remember the name of the characters and the turn of events. So Pushyamitra became king of Patliputra and he made his son Agnimitra the governor of Vidisha. See, he himself was governor of Vidisha in Ujjain some time ago. So he now says that now I have to become the king. I am going to Patliputra. So my dear son, from today onwards, you sit on my throne. I was the governor till yesterday. Now you are the governor of Vidisha and Ujjain and I have to go to Patliputra. So Pushyamitra Sung, as we already discussed, was a devout Brahmin who was determined to limit the influence of rival Buddhist religion. Because one of the reasons why he revolted against the king was because he did not like the fact that king was neglecting the Vedic religion. So that's why after coming to power, he was determined to undo that. He said that enough is enough. For 500 years, Vedic religion is being neglected by the ruling people. Ruling people, why? Because they embraced Buddhism. So he said that I am going to undo this. So Pushyamitra made Patliputra his capital, but his descendants chose Vidisha as his capital. As you already know, that before coming to Patliputra, he asked his son to replace him as the governor of Ujjain and Vidisha. So just because he did not like the Buddhist religion, so he is also said to have prosecuted Buddhist monks. So this guy Pushyamitra Sung, please remember this question. So who is known to be the prosecutor of Buddhist? So this guy Pushyamitra Sung, and you know the reason. So he prosecuted Buddhist and even damaged Sachi Stup. So Sachi Stup. So we know that Sachi Stup was the very sacred religious stupa created by King Ashok. King Ashok of Mauryan dynasty. So now Mauryans are gone. Pushyamitra is sitting on the throne and he does not like the rival religion of Buddhism. So what will he do? He will try to create damage. He will try to damage the reputation. So that's why he is known to have damaged Sachi Stup, because Sachi Stup was the very, very revered stup of Buddhists. Later on, he had a change of heart. This guy, Pushyamitra Sung. So during early days, he was very much against religion of Buddhism. But later on, he had a change of its heart and he is known to have built a stup at Bahraut. Please remember this question. This is a very important question related to Pushyamitra Sung. That who built the stupa at Bahraut? So Bahraut is a place in Madhya Pradesh in Satna district. See, when he became the king, his tendency was to destroy the stupas. But when he grew old, so he started creating stupas. So one such great stup for which he is given the credit is stupa of Bahraut in Satna district of Madhya Pradesh. Now Pushyamitra Sung performed Vedic sacrifices such as Aswamedh, Rajasuy and Vajpayee Yagya. So these were elaborate rituals conducted by kings. And these are all Vedic rituals. These are not related to Buddhism. So these are Vedic rituals which signifies that he revived Vedic rituals. So you can see. So Pushyamitra Sung patronized the Sanskrit grammarian Patanjali. So Patanjali is known for two things. So first thing is grammar, and also he is known to have contributed to the field of yoga. So today, if you will look, there is a very famous country, very famous company in our country, so run by Yog Guru Baba Ramdev. So that is known as Patanjali. So he is the same Patanjali. So Patanjali was the court, you can say court grammarian, court scholar of Pushyamitra Shung. So according to the Puranas, his reign lasted for 36 years. That means he sat on the throne for a great number of years. So for 36 years, and finally he died in 156 BC. So he is known to have conducted 2 Aswamedh Yajna. So he is known to have conducted 2 Aswamedh Yajna because he was a devout Brahmin and he was a king, and as a king he was expected to conduct these rituals. Now, great Sanskrit scholar was the chief during these 2 Ashwamedh Yajna. Which great Sanskrit scholar? So Patanjali. Patanjali used to live in his court and he was a great Sanskrit scholar. So whenever he used to conduct these yajna, Patanjali was the head priest. Now during last days of Pushyamitra, that means when Pushyamitra Shung grew old, Greek invaders tried to enter mainland. See, this story of Greek invaders have started since the time of Alexander, because Alexander also came from Greece only. So when Alexander invaded India, or you can say entered India, so the Greeks grew bold in their ambition. They thought that okay, if Alexander can do that, other people of Greece can also do that. So when Mauryan dynasty ended, India was not that politically strong, and when Pushyamitra Shung grew old, it became even more weak. So during the last days of Pushyamitra, Greek invaders tried to enter Indian mainland. So Pushyamitra first succeeded in repulsing an attack from Demetrius. The first such you can say approach was made by the Greek king Demetrius. So Demetrius had almost entered Patliputra. Patliputra was the capital of Pushyamitra, but Pushyamitra managed to send him back. He managed to repulse. The second attack, please remember the name of these 2 characters. The first person who tried to invade during Pushyamitra's time was Demetrius. After him, after he got defeated, after he was sent back by Pushyamitra, he said that, how dare you? So after that, the second Greek was Greek military general Menander. First came Demetrius, he was defeated, sent back by Pushyamitra Shung. But immediately after that, the next year, Menander entered India. Who was Menander? He was a Greek military general. So what happened? So Pushyamitra sent his grandson Vasumitra to defend against Menander. I will tell you the actual story what happened. So this is India. I am very bad at drawing. So this is India. This is Patliputra, or you can say today's Patna. This is Punjab. When I say Punjab, it also includes today's Punjab of Pakistan. So Menander was the king of a small kingdom. So he had already established a kingdom here. He had already established, but he was a very small ruler. So what happened? This Pushyamitra used to conduct Aswamedh Yajna. So when you conduct Aswamedh Yajna, so you release horses. So kings used to conduct Aswamedh Yajna. They used to release horses with the claim that as far as horses will go, the claim of that land will be with me. Because if you do not stop my horse, it means you are trying to surrender. So the kings used to release the horse. To protect this horse, Pushyamitra asked his grandson Vasumitra that you follow this horse. If anybody will try to stop this horse, you fight with him. So this horse was moving towards Gandhar. It had to pass through Punjab. So when the horse reached Punjab, this guy Menander caught the horse, and hence Vasumitra have to fight with Menander. So Menander had almost reached Patliputra, but he was forced to retreat. So as you saw that Vasumitra was the grandson. He was guarding the horse. So he came into conflict with Menander, and now he managed to send back Menander as well. So by now, two Greek invaders. The first Greek invader was, as you can see, Demetrius. So the first one to attack was Demetrius, and the second one to attack after that was Menander. So first came Demetrius, then came Menander. So there are a few things which you need to know about this guy called Menander, but soon Menander settled in Gandhar and made Sialkot his capital. So today Sialkot is a city of Pakistan. So it's not that Menander left India. So he was thrown out, or you say he was forced to move out of India. He settled in Gandhar and made Sialkot his capital. There is another interesting thing that you need to know about Menander is that Buddhist text Milind Pahana. So there is a Buddhist religious text. Its name is Milind Pahana. So Milind Pahana basically means questions of Milind. Narrates the story of a how Buddhist monk Nagsena. This question has been asked many a times. So Buddhist monk Nagsena, so he had an interesting discussion with Menander, and it is this discussion which is recorded in form of Milind Pahana, which means questions of Milind. So this king Menander is known as Milind in Milind Pahana. By Buddhist, Menander is called or pronounced as Milind, and Milind was asking questions to Nagsena and Nagsena was answering. So these were spiritual questions. So after this, Menander accepted Buddhism. So question is asked, who converted Menander to Buddhism? So answer is Nagsena. So Milind Pahana is the conversation between which two personalities? So Menander and Nagsena. So this was all about Pushyamitra Sung. Now his successor Agnimitra. So when was Pushyamitra's son who succeeded him to the throne? So as I already told you that when Pushyamitra became the king and came to Patliputra, so he asked his son Agnimitra to become the governor of Ujjain and Vidisha. So he is the same Agnimitra. So when Pushyamitra Sung died, this Agnimitra became the king. His reign lasted from 149 BC to 141 BC. So he defeated Vidarbha kingdom, present day Maharashtra. So what do we have to remember about this? So these are ancient kings, we don't have to remember too many facts about them. So whichever fact is mentioned here, you have to remember it. So he defeated Vidarbha kingdom as they had become independent from Magad and were not paying tributes. So he attacked his neighboring kingdom of Vidarbha. Why? Because once upon a time they were paying tributes to Magad because they were controlled by Magad. But when Pushyamitra Sung died, they stopped doing that. Now Agnimitra, this guy Agnimitra, who is the successor of Pushyamitra Sung, is the hero of Kalidasa's poem Malvikagni Mitram. So Kalidas is a renowned Sanskrit scholar. So he wrote a love story, a prose, Malvikagni Mitram, and this Malvikagni Mitram is the love story of Agnimitra. You can see Agni Mitram and Malvika. So his son Vasumitra succeeded him as king. So Agnimitra, so this is all that you have to remember about Agnimitra, that he became king when his father died. He is the hero of the poem written by Kalidasa. The name of the poem is Malvikagnimitram. And after him, his son Vasumitra became the king. He is the same Vasumitra who fought against Menander and forced him to return. Now, let's understand a few things about Vasumitra. So, he was the son of Agnimitra, obviously, and the grandson of Pushyamitra Sung. He is known to have safely guarded the horses of Aswamedh Yajna. So, who was conducting this Aswamedh Yajna? His grandfather, Pushyamitra Sung, and he used to go back, he used to safely guard the horse. And whosoever used to stop the horse, this Vasumitra used to fight with him. So, in same manner, he came in conflict with Menander. Because of this only he had come in conflict with Menander. Now, the next one, so the ruler after Vasumitra. So, this is all that you have to remember about Vasumitra. Not much is known about him. So, we know about Vasumitra only from Puranas, not from any historical record. Now, his successor, Bhagbhadra. So, we know about King Bhagbhadra by Heliodorus pillar. So, this is the pillar which is known as Heliodorus pillar. Now, where is it located? So, it is located in Vidisha. Vidisha, which was known as Besnagar. So, in options, many a times it has been asked that where is Heliodorus pillar located? You can get both the options, Vidisha also and Besnagar also. But most of the time you will get Besnagar, because this is also known as Besnagar pillar. Besnagar pillar. So it is by reading this pillar we come to know that after Vasumitra, Bhagbhadra had become the king. So who was Heliodorus? So Heliodorus was a Greek ambassador and he dedicated this pillar to god Vasudev. So as I already told you that Greeks did not run away completely, but they started to live in Gandhara, just outside the recognized boundary of India, that time boundary of India. So they settled themselves. So now they were sending their ambassadors. So Heliodorus was a Greek ambassador. So when he came to Vidisha or Besnagar, he brought this pillar with him. So he gifted this pillar of god Vasudeva, that means god Vishnu. So these Greeks, they were also embracing Hindu religions. So they gifted this pillar to Bhagbhadra. So Bhagbhadra's name is written here. So the Heliodorus pillar has a surmounted figure of a Garuda. So it is broken now, but there was a picture of a Garuda here. Because Garud is the, you can say, symbol used to represent, or the holy bird associated with Lord Vishnu. So after Bhagbhadra, the last king to rule was Devbhuti. So Devbhuti was the last Shung ruler. He was the last Shung ruler. He was killed by his own minister. So he was killed by his own minister Vasudev Kanva in around 73 BC. So this is how Shung dynasty came to an end, because the last ruler Devbhuti, he was killed by his own minister. The Shung dynasty started also with a revolt, with a treachery, and ended with the same kind of treachery. Minister killing his king. Pushyamitra Sung killed his king and started Shung dynasty. Now the same thing has happened to his descendants. The last ruler Devbhuti gets killed by Vasudev Kanva. So if a ruler is killed, his dynasty ends and a new dynasty takes position. So now let us see what happened when Kan dynasty was established. So Vasudev Kan killed his king and now he establishes his own dynasty known as Kan dynasty. So now let us see who were the rulers of Kan dynasty. The founder of Kan dynasty is Vasudev Kanva. He was also a Brahmin by caste. So he established the dynasty by killing his king Devbhuti. So as we already saw, Devbhuti was the last king of Shung dynasty. The time period of Kanva dynasty is very short and they ruled for like only hardly 40 years. So the time period of Kan dynasty was very short. You need not remember this time period. Just remember that they could not rule for last too long. So they did not last too long. During the reign of later Shung rulers, Yavanas, who were basically Greek invaders, so they were living in places like Gandhara, just outside the boundary of India. So Greek invaders became strong again. In south, Satavahanas declared independence. So Satavahana was another kingdom which was under control of Mauryans. But now Mauryans are dead, Shungas are gone. So slowly, gradually, they are claiming independence. They are saying that we are not going to rule by Kanva dynasty. They are this weak dynasty, Kan dynasty. Similarly, another political force, Sakas, which were basically Indo-Iranian mixed tribes, they had stronghold in some regions. So basically what is being conveyed here is that just after the demise of Sung dynasty, Kan dynasty lost control of all the territory. New forces started to crop up. Shakas, Satavahanas, Yavanas. So all this started to become strong. So at this juncture, Vasudev Kanv, who was the minister in Sung kingdom, overthrew the Sung dynasty. So under these circumstances, Kanv dynasty is founded. But the princes of Shung dynasty could defend some part of Sung kingdom and continue to rule from Besnagar. Though even the Kanv dynasty was formed, still some parts of Vidisha and Besnagar, they were still in control of Shung kings or the descendants of Shung kings. So in total, there were 4 kings from this dynasty. The Kanvs have 4 kings one after the other in chronology. So Kanvs were also ruling from Patliputra. So the Kanva dynasty capital was also Patliputra. So they were still ruling from Magad. So Bhumi Mitra Kanv, son of Vasudev Kanv, succeeded him. So founder is Vasudev Kanv. So after he dies, his son takes over. So son is Bhumi Mitra. So Bhumi Mitra Kanv fought many wars against Satavahanas. So who were Satavahanas? At one point in time, all these people, Satavahana, Kanva, Shung, they were working under Mauryans. But now Mauryans are gone. So now they are becoming independent. So Bhumi Mitra Kanva have to fight many wars against Satavahanas to defend the throne of Magad. Now, though the capital of Kanva dynasty was Patliputra, they had occupied Vidisha also, because Vidisha was under control of Shungs. So if they have defeated Shung, so all their area came under the control of Kanvs. So Patliputra as well as Vidisha. Now Bhumi Mitra was succeeded by his son Narayan. So one king dies, the other replaces him. So Bhumi Mitra was the son of Vasudev Kanv and Narayan is the son of Bhumi Mitra. So you need not remember the name of all these later kings, only the prominent ones, Vasudev Kanv. So you can read this once and then you can move forward. There is nothing much to be remembered here. So Narayana was being succeeded by his own son Susaraman. So he is the last king of Kan dynasty. So Susaraman was the last ruler of King dynasty and he was overthrown by the Satavahanas, because you have already seen that Satavahanas were trying hard to capture Magad, because Magad is the political power of India. So Susaraman was the last ruler of Kanva dynasty and he was overthrown by Satavahanas. Now see, it means Satavahanas have overthrown them and they have captured Patliputra, that means they have captured Magad. But please remember something, though the Satavahanas ruled from Magad region, they cannot be considered as rulers in history of Magad. Why? Because their capital was located in South India. I told you that India is divided by Vindhya range, Vindhyas. So below the Vindhya it is considered South India and above it is North India. So these people, Satavahanas, they though captured Patliputra, but their capital was not Patliputra. Their capital was located in South India. So their capital was located near Pune, Maharashtra. Hence, they are not considered to be part of Magad dynasty, because Magad have seen many dynasties one after the other, but Satvahana is not considered to be part of that.